The price of haste. In a world obsessed with speed and appearances, we often measure success by what's visible: company size, growth rate, or the look of a project. But what happens when a crisis hits? Today's story, the parable of the two builders, warns that the external structure is less important than the foundation beneath it. This is a powerful lesson on why building slowly on a solid foundation is the only long-term strategy in technology, business, and habit development. Foundation and outcome. Both men built houses. Both houses may have looked similar. But when the rains came, the floods rose, and the winds beat against them, the difference emerged. The builder on the rock, the wise man, his house stood firm. He listened to and practiced the teaching, built on rock. The construction might have been more laborious and slower, but it ensured resilience. The builder on the sand, the foolish man, his house collapsed completely. He heard the teaching but did not practice it, built on sand. The construction was quick and easy, but it was a strategic irresponsibility. In both cases, the storm, the challenge, was the same. The only difference was the foundation. Sand represents convenience, quick fixes, and a lack of principles. Rock represents discipline, core principles, and a willingness to do the hard work up front. Technical foundation and sustainability. The foundation is a metaphor for our core principles and technical underpinnings. Technical foundation. In software development, building on sand means using patchwork solutions, accumulating technical debt, or skipping security for a fast launch. Building on rock is investing time in a clean, scalable architecture, even if it slows down the initial pace. Core principles. In business, sand is dishonesty, data manipulation, or compromising quality for quick profit. Rock is an unwavering commitment to product quality and business ethics. When the market suddenly shifts, the storm, companies built on sand will crumble, while those with solid core principles will stand firm and seize the opportunity. Application in habit development and leadership. How do you ensure you are building on rock in your life? Habit development, core habits. Trying to lose weight fast with a restrictive diet is building on sand. Building on rock is establishing small, non-negotiable habits, e.g., walking for 10 minutes daily, getting 7 hours of sleep. These habits create a foundation of health and energy that cannot be shaken by the storm, stress, illness. In leadership, the sand leader focuses on popularity and quarterly results. The rock leader focuses on employee development and building transparent processes, even if the results are slower. They know that team sustainability is the ultimate foundation. Ask yourself, which habit or principle am I prioritizing to build, even if it doesn't yield immediate benefits? That is your rock. The leadership skill of crisis composure. The nature of crisis. In business, finance, or life, there will be times when you are submerged in a crisis storm. Everything is out of control, and fear becomes a scream. The natural reaction is panic. But is it possible to find peace in the eye of the storm? Today's story, The Storm is Calmed, provides a powerful model for crisis composure and teaches us the most important lesson in leadership. Controlling internal emotions is more critical than controlling external circumstances. 2 reactions. The story unfolds on the Sea of Galilee. Jesus and his disciples, most of whom were seasoned fishermen, were crossing the lake when a great storm struck. Waves crashed into the boat, which was nearly sinking. We see 2 opposing reactions. Reaction 1. Panic and blame. The disciples, the experienced ones, were the most panicked. They rushed to Jesus, who was asleep, and questioned him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" Their fear transformed into condemnation and a sense of abandonment. Reaction 2. Absolute calm. Jesus, he was sleeping in the midst of the storm. When he woke, he did 2 things. First, he rebuked the storm. Second, he rebuked his disciples' fear. Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? Distinguishing control and trust. The core lesson is about leadership in high-risk situations. Composure. Jesus demonstrated that peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of serenity despite the trouble. For a leader, this means your role in a crisis is not to solve every problem instantly, but to maintain a stable psychological state for the entire team. Your calm will be their anchor against panic. He rebuked their fear before rebuking the storm. This shows that the greatest storm is always the one within us. Application in leadership and psychology. How to maintain crisis composure. Leadership psychology. When a crisis hits, a company loses a major client, the market collapses, your team will look to you. If you panic, they will panic. A leader must activate a calm response by maintaining a steady pace, a composed tone, and focusing on the next steps, rather than focusing on the loss. Practicing self-leadership. To be able to sleep during a storm, you must cultivate trust in your abilities and in the process. This requires mental discipline, the ability not to let your emotions be dictated by external pressure. Distinguishing action and reaction. Everyone can act in normal times. The difference in a leader is the ability to react calmly and strategically when everything is falling apart. The left behind linen. The power of orderly closure and total transformation. The craving for closure. In life, we are always seeking closure after a major chapter ends, a job, a relationship, or a big project. We want to know that everything has truly ended so we can start afresh. But what evidence shows that an ending is not just a negative event, disappearance, but a radical transformation? Today's story, The Left Behind Linen, gives us a small yet profound detail. The sign of a perfect transformation is the orderly arrangement of what was left behind. Order amidst disappearance. When the disciples visited Jesus' tomb, they made a shocking discovery. The tomb was empty. However, the crucial detail was not the empty tomb itself, but how the burial cloths were left. The Bible clearly records, the grave clothes were not thrown in a heap, but were rolled up and laid in a place by themselves. The linen cloths lay there, like an empty cocoon, confirming the body had vanished. The disappearance was not a theft, because if it were, the thief would not have wasted time unwrapping and neatly folding the cloths. The head cloth, sidarium, was rolled up and set aside, an action that was intentional and orderly. This orderly act is physical evidence of a supernatural event. It signals a complete transformation, the resurrection, not a panicky escape. Orderly closure. The lesson of the linen cloth is about consciously bringing things to an end. When a phase concludes, we have two choices: chaotic ending, rushing out, leaving everything in disarray, as if the body was stolen, leaving a mess. This creates a lack of closure and keeps us bound to the past. Orderly ending. Folding the cloth, completing all procedures, resolving outstanding issues. This is evidence that we have finished the task and are ready to step into the new unburdened by unresolved matters. Every time you end something with haste and chaos, you deny your own transformation. Orderly arrangement is a necessary psychological ritual for release. Application in work and relationships. How do you apply the principle of the left behind linen in daily life? In project management, closure. Never end a project without a lessons learned process and full documentation. Arranging the remnants of the old project, folding the linen, is proof that you've extracted the wisdom and are no longer trapped by old mistakes. In personal relationships, emotional closure. When a relationship ends, seek an orderly conclusion. This doesn't mean you must resolve everything with the other person, but rather fold your own emotional linen, accept the truth, forgive, and remove emotional ties. In personal transformation, the act of tidying your old living space or desk after achieving a new milestone is a symbolic action. External order reflects internal clarity. Today, what evidence will you create to show that you have truly transformed? Will you leave a mess that holds you back, or will you roll up and fold the linen of the past carefully? Share your goal for creating orderly closure in your life in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next insightful lessons. See you again soon.